What we're going to do tonight is a platter. I decided to do a platter was because that's one of the things we did with Glenn Lucas. And I thought, well, I just did this, and I bought his video and I looked at his video a couple of times, and I thought, well, I can do that for a demonstration, even though I'm not a platter expert like some of the people here. Glenn's going to be at Saratoga Springs, and he is a very entertaining demonstrator. And if you find him using some of the same techniques I use, don't give him a hard time. He's a nice guy, and it's fine. So this morning, this is not the one I turned with Glenn. I wanted to see how long it would take me to turn a platter, and it took an hour and a half. So we're going to go a little faster, and that's my excuse if things don't turn out perfect, that I was hurrying. This is the one I turned this morning. It's going back onto my lathe because it's just too heavy. I want to thin it out. I'm going to take the inside deeper, which is no problem. If we're going to mount the blank, Rod provided us with walnut, and I'm going to do something that I normally not do when I mount that's drill holes, because the demo would be over really quick if I split this wood. Oh, that's hard. When I turn green wood, I usually put eight screws in. I like to get all the holding power I can. But for dry wood, did anybody notice that I had to drill in reverse when I was drilling the holes? That's probably why it took so long to drill. Yeah, it was. I thought it was your hard wood. Yeah, it does work better that way. These screws are number 14 by, I think they're 1.25 inches, and the reason I use such heavy screws is that gets you to a number 3 Phillips, and you will have a hard time stripping the threads with a number 3 Phillips. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is just true the rim up, and I guess before we do that, we should talk a little bit about design. Can we swing over to the board? What I'm hoping to end up with, right now we've got a faceplate and a blank. And I'm going to turn the bottom first. So, and also I'm going to put a little recess in here to mount it and turn the bottom. And this area here is one thing some people struggle with. What do we make this platter? There's going to, well, once we reverse it, we're going to cut the inside out a little bit. But there's a lot of choices here. You can make it look like that. You can make it an OG. Oop, that's not an OG. Let's try another one. Like that. You can make an OG like this, as far as that edge. And the one other thing I saw was where they took, and that's the shape. I exaggerate a little bit. But that's the shape that Glenn puts on his. Tonight, that's what I'm shooting for, is just a nice cove like the one that's being passed around. One of the things that you see the red sticker on there. If you have a Tormek, they sell, or I think they give them to you or sell more of little strips where you can put on what they call the recipe, where you put your jig setting and your angle and all this stuff. Glenn sells his own line of tools, and they are Hamlet, which I think that's probably a Hamlet, isn't it, Larry? It's an Ellsworth tool, but it's I think he uses the same manufacturer. Well, he sells his own tools, and he's developed his what he considers his favorite grind. Well, to help his students in his class, he has color-coded his tools, and then he has a chart with that on, and if you take a class from him, the red tool, you know exactly what angle and which jig and everything, and it makes it for that. But I had always gripped by hand, and they always work fine. Get the exact same grind every time. I will pass one of the tools around. You can see the grind that we're getting off of that. Okay. Now we had trouble getting this thing. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to true the outside rim of this. You know how you can tell if somebody normally wears a face mask? Is when they go to blow the dust off of something. I do not normally wear one at home. Now I'm just going to touch the back side of this. This is already flat, but it's just to make sure I got a good surface. And then I'm going to use my pencil. If I can find my pencil, there it is. And put a mark on here for, this is going to be the top of the platter. So I'm just going to put a mark there where the top's going to be. You want your tool right about the center on this, and one way to find the center is just to guess where it is and put a little pencil mark. You can't see that, but now I have a little circle, which is exactly the center, and I want the tool to come right across there, so that's pretty good. I'm just going to pull it across to face this off. Okay, that's good enough for what we. I got a tape measure here somewhere, but we'll say we're going to make the. This is not a decorative platter. I'm making this as something people would use. So I'm going to put a fairly wide base on it, give it some stability. If I put a little narrow base on and you were actually going to use it to eat something out of, it's going to tip all over the place. So I think I'll go in about 2 or 2.5 inches. 2 1/4. And now I've got to taper that. And to do that, I'm just going to take the tool rest around here, put it up close to the edge at a roughly the same angle to intersect those two lines, and get rid of some material. Now I'm going to get my form in there. I'm pretty much, I can still see my pencil marks, but not by much. Okay, not a whole lot of tear out. I would like that other tool back, wherever it got to.
Sold it.
Sold it. Okay, great. Thanks. I'm going to try to get a little bit better finish on this with this tool. I was just going to mention, the question is what speed?
852.
No, it's on the 840. Sorry. 839 to 840.
What's the frequency? One more.
Okay. There's a couple little lines, but they'll all sand out pretty quick. I don't see any tear out. Maybe a little teeny bit there. We're going to finish the bottom. And really the only place we have to get nice is the outside rim, where we're not going to take out for the chuck. Yeah, that looks pretty good. One thing we gotta watch is how flat it is. And I've got a little bit of a concave in there, which is what I'm looking for. Otherwise your bowl will just rock, or if you make this proud enough, you can turn it into a lazy Susan. It'll just spin in the center. I'm going to be using this chuck this evening, and one of the things that some people have trouble with is knowing when to stop when they're hollowing out. And Larry brought a couple, and I brought two. These are different tools that are used to measure wall thickness, and this one you can measure. Put that behind and measure how thick your bottom is. Can I pass this around there?
Yeah.
Who's brand?
Kelton.
Yeah, that's Kelton.
Yeah, New Zealand, I think.
I have two Robert Sorby's. This bigger one's Larry's, and you can see when this is closed, you're also closed out here, so you can measure how thick your wall is with this end, and it shows you how thick it is out here. That's how thick that rim is. So there's two of these. The smaller one's mine, which is too small for this one, and this was a fairly new one. It's made for getting different angles, and for checking the bottom of the bowl. You get it on the bottom of the bowl, and you here. One thing, and that is that your jaws open up farther than that, because you're going to put this in through the jaw underneath. So when I measure to put my tenon in there, or recess in there, I am going to want to make sure that I have left the jaws open far enough from one of those measuring devices. And that should do it. I don't know if anybody's ever had an accident with these. It is possible. What happens is you set these to your depth, and you just go up here and you put a little scribe line. Well, if you hit on this side, that's bad. Yeah. I did hear that there was one instructor that one of his students threw one of these and it went right through his eye. He's blind in one eye. So if you're concerned about using these, there's another way you can do without. I mean, I use them all the time. You just want to keep this point away from the surface. This one has to be resting on the tool, or it will be resting once you touch your wood, whichever way you want. But you can just guess what the width is and put a mark on there. Okay, now I'm going to check that with my dividers. It's pretty close. I can judge what how much I need there. And that's a little bigger than I need, which is okay. That'll make sure I have plenty of room to expand this. I think most of us have some kind. This is a Nova. What do you, one way, and Larry, what do you use? Everything?
Dozens.
Okay. They all have numbers on the jaws.
Not mine.
Not yours? Well, you got a defective one then. Then you can put your fingers in your ears. The numbers on the jaws, and I think everybody matches them up with the number on the chuck. That's good, and that's a good way to do it. But what the numbers are is to put this back together the way it came off of the machining process. This was machined in one piece. It came off, and they used a slitting saw to cut it into 4, and they number them. So as long as those 4 are in the same rotation, they're good. But the easy way to make sure they're in the same rotation is to do what everybody does: match them up with the jaws. Now I'm going to cut that recess with a scraper, and I'm going to want this tool rest a little bit higher, because the important thing about the scraper is that it scrapes and does not cut. If your scraper is pointed upwards, that wood is going to pull it down. If you have it down at a little bit of an angle, that's probably too high. Then it's going to scrape and it will not catch. How are we doing, Larry?
Yeah. I wonder how hard it's snowing.
I'll let you know when I'm finished here. I had this center just a little bit high. I'm going to get rid of some excess material here. You don't recognize any of these tool handles, do you? All right. Okay. I have this ground at roughly the same angle as my jaw, so if I put it in to where this is flat on the bottom and just push in, I'm going to get the undercut I need. I'm going to go just a little deeper, but I'm a little too low. There we go. Okay. I might go just a little bit. That's only about a 1/16 of an inch. But we do have the safety shield, so it should be fine, Larry. I do want to make sure that I'm not, I'll take just a little bit off the center, and we're going to call it done. That's too flat for me. What I've got on that, in this middle piece is just a little bit of a curve.
So Jim, you're looking for a little bit of concave there.
Well, from my side, it's convex. It's domed out towards me.
Oh, is that what you want?
Yeah, that's what I wanted. But I want to make sure it's big enough before I take it off. I'm going to make sure it's big enough for the chuck. Okay, that's bigger than I normally make it, so it should fit fine. And we've got, about 3/32 of an inch.
Why do you want that convex in the center?
I think it looks better. Plus, the inside of the bowl, the plate is going to have a little bit of that, so that'll keep me from getting quite so thin in the middle. All right. Now, with any luck, we can get this off. I'm not going to sand. I did come prepared to sand. I was going to wet sand. I don't know if anybody here has ever done that, but I usually finish my stuff with walnut oil, and I think this would be great for walnut oil. And you can just use quad pack sandpaper, and this is a neat tool. Harbor Freight, if you get the right coupon, it's free. If not, you have to pay $3 for it. And that will hold your oil, the magnet there, keeps you from knocking it on the floor, and then you can, if you wet sand with the oil, it works really fast and doesn't put any dust at all. And that's what I would do if I was finishing this at home. How's our time? Did we start yet? Oh, demonstrator doesn't even start the way it's blocked. I will sand the bottom just for that. So I can remount it. I have two kinds of oil with me. One is the walnut oil that I use, and if you don't like walnut oil, this is another good option. I've had this for several years, I think. Mineral oil. Either one is food safe. Some people might think that your walnut oil would affect people with nut allergies. I guess if they chew them, maybe, but I've never heard anybody having trouble from walnut oil. This was my raffle prize at the Frederick Club. I'm smart enough to open it up. The finest, or the coarsest grit it's got is 150. It's going to be fine. Cloth back is important because the regular paper, if you dip it in oil, it's going to just disappear. I'm going to slow this down a little bit. And just put a little bit on here first. Mineral oil does not seem to dry nearly as much as the walnut oil. Neither one has the chemical dryers in it, but it just seems like the walnut oil dries better as long as it's fresh. If you get you have walnut oil that's probably 4 or 5 years old, you may want to consider tossing it. Now I could stand up here and spray oil over myself, or here and get Larry. I don't know if you can see you can get a little bit more of it there. It's just it's coming right off.
Jim, pick up your mic.
Okay. I know sanding is so exciting to watch, so I'll try to just give you you can see all the stuff that's coming off. And the paper is keeping nice and clean. If I had it, I would have probably started with 120 on that, but 150 is what we've got. And I'm not going to sand the inside of the dovetail. I don't want to mess that up at all. Okay, you can see I'm not getting any dust at all in the air. Makes it really nice technique for doing a demo. And I'll probably just sand the rest of that at home. But I just wanted you to see how does a decent job. That's just a 150. No.
Do you keep the same oil on, or do you, when you change your grits, if you put a little more oil on?
The first couple times I did it, I wiped it all off, and after that, I haven't noticed much difference in just using the same thing. I guess it's because you're getting some of that swarf from the wood, but the grits, it's not knocking the grit out of the paper like you would just using a regular sandpaper. Okay, now let's turn it around. Anybody see what I did with my T-handle?
Yeah, right behind the sandpaper.
Thank you. Okay, want to make sure that our jaws are clean and the recess is clean. We're just going to put that back on there and hold it, pressing in at the middle. Well, that's big enough for your big ones, Larry. When these jaws are machined, of course they're round and they cut that slot out, and the cutter they use is probably around 3/32 of an inch, give or take. So they're perfectly round when you have that much gap in there. Other bigger or smaller, they're not quite round. Oh, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to use this same tool I started off with, the 5/8 bowl gouge, and I'm going to face this off, and I want the tool to be running about the center. I can see the center mark from where Rod marked it, which may or may not be the center anymore. Let's just put a center in there to make sure. Oh yeah, it's still center. So I'm going to want to bring my tool down just a little bit because I'm right above center, and that's going to be important, more important for when I hollow it out than when I'm facing it off. So I might as well have it right to begin with. I moved it up and down. What are we? Yeah, that's pretty good. This tool rest is one from Robust. Yeah. I don't know, has everybody seen their tool rests? They're nice. They've got a piece of hardened material. I've got another one in the bag there if you care to look at it. Okay, I'm going to put a bead on this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this and make the same distance on the face as on the edge. Okay, that's going to be my bead. Before I do that, let me see, we need a 1 5/16 rim. You getting all these dimensions, Bill? And now I've got to hollow this out. I don't want to take it all the way down to the bottom, but I want to see where my form is before I do my rim. If I would take it all the way down the bottom before I came out to the rim, there'd be a lot of deflection. You don't have to raise your hand, but how many people have had a tool skate across their work before? Okay. It is, because the tool was not, this tool, the way I'm set up with being on center, should be level should be maybe a little bit this way, but the important thing is this. I'm going to slow this down. If I have this open, it's going to go that way. If I have it closed, it goes the other way. If I get down, if I get up, so you have to put the tool in the right position. So when it skates, it's just, I'm showing you how not to do it. Now don't worry about that. I'm just going to make a couple of little marks here. Once those marks are made, that tool has something for the bevel to ride against. If you're new to hollowing out bowls, what you can do is just take this and make a little mark there. And what that's giving you is a place to put that tip of that tool that won't allow it to skate. Now, you don't have to do that. I don't do that at home, but it does give you a nice place to go. And when I start cutting, I'm going to turn the tool slightly and go into the bottom. Do we have any picture of what's in the inside of this showing? What I've done is I went down there is I've left a bunch of steps, and what that gives me is a place to put that bevel for the next time down. And I'll proceed to do that another time, and then I'm going to come back to do the rim. No tore out grain there, is there, Larry? Rod, would you hand me those calipers, please? Yep. I'm just going to check the, see what we have at the bottom. There should be lots and lots of material there. Yeah, you can see there's about an inch, give or take. I'm going to do a little bit of a finish cut out here on this rim. What I just did was make a little step where that bead's going to start. And let me hit it one more time. Now I'm going to finish that bead. I've got a few lines in here. I don't see any torn out grain. Those lines will come right out with sanding, except that big one here. I'm going to hit that a little bit. And then we'll take the tool rest around, do the bead, and finish the inside. I'm just going to scrape the bead with the skew. I know there's probably some purists in the group that don't like scraping with a skew, but it does a good job. Get that. Okay, I'm going to call it quits on this rim. Except for sanding, that's finished. Now we're ready to hollow out the bottom, and we will be done with our platter. $9.34. I don't think it's possible to check the depth too many times. We still got a long way to go. Down about 7/16. Maybe we'll take one more cut and then we'll smooth the bottom. about 1/4 of an inch. There's plenty there to, I'm saying there's plenty there for me to take one more cut. Take one fine cut across there. I still got to, at this point, if you use scrapers, you can use a scraper. In fact, I might do that because we haven't used a scraper on the inside yet. Yeah, still got just a little bit of work to get that flat. But it's coming in pretty nice. Scrapers, I sharpen mine quite frequently. It doesn't take long for the scraper to lose its burr. And that's actually what you're cutting with. You're not cutting with anything except the little burr that you've raised over it. I've got a couple of high spots and right around there and there. Just try to get those off. Okay, it's not perfect, but now is this when I say I'm in a hurry because of the weather? I can take this home and finish it, but I think everybody gets a picture of how to do that. I'll pass this around and you can take a look at it. It needs quite a bit more work on the inside. Also, when somebody was mentioning how shallow that recess is in the back, and you can see that it held that part in there without any problem.
Watch your glasses.
Thank you. And I think that's it, guys. Thank you.